Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to Sadhguru at Harvard University. Youth and Truth, February 17, 2019. So Harvard University. Well, let's see if they ask some smart questions. Let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, delighted to have Sadhguru on stage. We have been planning for this for 6 months, and to see him on stage is an exciting thing for all of us here in the organizing team. I had planned a long introduction to Sadhguru, and then I realized he needs no introduction. So I take the easier way out and introduce the student moderators.
I'm going to rewind it real quick because I want to see what the lady did.
To see him on
Think
stage
she went to the floor?
is an exciting thing for all of us here in the organizing team. I had planned a long introduction to
Okay, just
Sadhguru,
picking
and
something
then
off
I
the floor.
realized he needs
I'm
no
guessing.
introduction. So I take the easier way out and introduce the student moderators. Here we have Nitisha, Tanvi, and Vikram. Nitisha and Vikram from the Harvard Kennedy School and Tanvi from the Harvard Business School. They're prepped up, all set, and here we go.
Jananam sukadham maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam Kalavashadiha Sakalam Karunam Samayadipate Akilam Karunam. Namaskaram, good morning to everyone. Huh? I said good morning. Please.
Sadhguru, we'll start with some questions on the internal contradictions that exist within us, so more on the philosophical side, and then we'll move to the world or politics side of the questions. So our first question is that in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna advises us to keep putting in effort without being attached to the results. But I find it incredibly hard to keep working and not obsess over the results. And I would love to know how we can better practice putting in effort while being detached to the results.
Well,
Real quick. My answer to this, personally, is to understand this. Well, hopefully you did everything you can to make the best score possible. Give it 110%, as they say. With that in mind, you should understand that if you genuinely gave it a fair shot, then you've earned the result that you're going to get. Whatever that result happens to be. A, F, B, C, D, one of those letters. And realize that the effort that you put in came out with the result that you got. That doesn't mean that the teacher is necessarily always right. And the only reason why I say this is because I do remember making an argument. My teacher marked one of my questions wrong with the answer, but I know I was right. I showed the teacher where I got the answer. I didn't have the book. It was a test, but I remember it. And I went back, and I looked, and I'm like, no, this is the answer that I got, and this is what I wrote down. So I brought that to my teacher, And my teacher told me I should be a lawyer, but outside of that, I ended up getting a higher grade because, I knew what I studied. I knew the answer to that. You don't. Essentially, what I'm saying is that make sure that you do the best that you can. Double check the work of the teacher. The teacher is human. We all make mistakes. So it's not necessarily that the grade that you stuck with is in fact the grade that you've earned, but there could have been mistakes. It's not that there is mistakes, but there could be some mistakes. And basically, the way I don't panic, cry, the way I don't get anxiety over it is because I did the best that I could. I put in the effort that I meant to put in, whether that's nothing, 5%, or 110%. And I deserve the grade that I get. And that's it. It's just, to me, it's always the understanding of what I did and what I've got. I understood. I spent 5 minutes last night studying for this test, and then procrastinated the rest of the time. So if I get an F, I've earned it. If I get an A, someone was looking out for me. You get the point, though. You generally speaking, you get what you put in. It's not always the case, but it's generally majority of the case. You get what you put in.
I am not in any way well studied about any scripture. It's unfortunate, but I have to say I have not even read the Gita. But we know the life of Krishna, that people think Krishna means butter, girls and flute. But you need to understand this. All these things happened only till he was 16 years of age. Till you're 16 years of age, well, some butter, some flute, how many girls till 16? I'm asking, practically. So after 16, he lived an extremely committed life. His commitment was to marry the political process of the day with the spiritual process, because he saw unless those who wield power are essentially in their experience have a larger sense of life and an inclusive sense of identity, not my family, my children, my husband, my wife, this stuff. You have a larger sense of identity, only then you must wield power. Otherwise, it will lead to corruption. People say, power is corruption. Power is not corruption. Limited identity is corruption. They believe they're doing the right things and they're doing the horrible things all the time because their identity is so small. So he was trying to change this. This was his whole life's mission.
For me, how I say power is corruption, it's not necessarily that power is corruption. It goes along the lines of another saying that that I remember hearing within a decade ago. Talk about people who win the lottery and how they go broke. They win an amount of money they could never earn in their entire lifetime, yet somehow they go broke. They become miserable. And the saying goes is that what is it? Money only brings out who you truly are. Meaning that if you're if you were unwise with money, even when you gain that amount of money, you will be unwise with it too, essentially. If you were an a-hole, then more money is not going to make you any nicer. Essentially, it's not going to make you anything that you're not. The lottery is not going to make you a nicer person if you're not a nice person. It's not going to make you a wiser person if it's not going to make you a wiser person. That's kind of the saying that we have. That, power doesn't make you anything other than who you truly are. It reveals who you truly are. If you're a kind person, power is not going to change you to a corrupt person. The only way you ever become a corrupt person is if you were corrupt in the first place. That doesn't mean that you cannot become corrupt, but generally speaking, who you are is exacerbated when you obtain things. Perhaps not to the extremes, but because I know if I won the lottery, I probably would be spending some money, but I'd be wise enough to know not to spend it all. Hopefully, hopefully.
And always working for results. Hello? A man who's working with such intensity and commitment is not working for not producing results. Obviously, he's working for results. The problem is, you heard what Krishna said through the words of a king's servant. Nobody else told you. He only spoke to Arjuna. Arjuna never spoke. He lived for 36 years after that incident, but he never uttered one word what Krishna told him. Have you heard anywhere? He ruled as a king, but never once he said, Krishna told me this on the battlefield, not once. So everything that you have heard is only from Sanjaya, who was a king's servant. You must understand the quality of a king's servant, he's very reliable. See, if you… let's say, if your husband or wife or children, they saw something, they come and tell you, they will add a little bit of their own stuff and tell you. It is intrinsic to a human being. Their own opinions, ideas, other things will naturally get into what they're speaking. But a king's servant is trained never to add his opinion, otherwise his head will go. He will only interpret everything word by word as it was. So he is a kind of a ancient tape recorder.
Real quick about that particular incident, the one thing was kind of strange to me. I'm trying to remember back to when I watched Swami Taratmananda's video about the Bhagavad Gita. The servant was looking through the eyes of… I can't remember whose eyes, but nonetheless, the servant was able to see everything Arjuna saw, I believe. I think it was looking through Arjuna's eyes, I'm not sure. I can't remember. But anyways, there was one time when Krishna revealed the universe to Arjuna. But the king's servant saw that as well, but I believe he did not panic. Because, again, like Sadhguru said here, Arjuna never said anything, apparently. This is all told through the eyes of the servant. So, clearly the servant saw the multiverse. The many heads of Brahman, I believe. So Vishnu. And why did that… I don't believe I've heard in there that he was terrified. But Arjuna was. Because Krishna, I believe, revealed a portion of it. I believe a portion of the multiverse to him. And, it's something that I suppose mortals are not capable of understanding or handling. And I suppose so. I mean, if you saw something that's like… I don't know. It's I can't explain it because it's something I have not experienced, nor can I even relate to, because it's just something that there's nothing to relate it to. It's just there's nothing in this world that could, how do you say, show an example of, be an example of that thing. So anyways, it's kind of interesting that the servant of the king did not panic like Arjuna did whenever Krishna revealed the multiverse, in a sense.
He's recording and just telling the king, this is what he's saying. But there's no context. What is shared between two people where there's a very deep relationship? If two lovers are doing something, talking to each other, somebody else may think they're quarreling, but they're doing their love affair. So this is a love affair between Krishna and Arjuna because they know each other very intimately. So he's speaking a certain language. So as king's servant takes word by word without knowing the context or understanding what it is, the experiential dimension of what it is. And he's saying, so having said that, see, essentially, it is just this, whatever you wish to do in your life, you have goals. What kind of goal will you set up? Right now you're in the university. What kind of goal will you set up? What you already know, you will exaggerate that a little bit and think it's a big goal in your life. Generally, people call this an ambition, I call this a constipation. Because you're trying to handle life little by little, just like constipation. If you have a goal, your goal cannot be something absolutely new, it is only an exaggeration of what you already know, yes or no? Can you think of a goal that you simply don't know? How is it even possible? So, what he is saying is, there is a direction we have taken, but you have to be dedicated to the process, otherwise goal will just be hallucination. If you do one thing right now, just don't take this one breath, take the other breaths, let me see. That's all he's saying. He's saying without taking this step properly, you hallucinate about the goal, what is the point? In yoga we say this very simply. We say if you have one eye on the goal, you have only one eye to find your way, it's inefficient, that's all. So he's just talking about in a battle, if you're inefficient, it is not that you won't get your increment or promotion, you just get dead. Hello? In a battle, if you're inefficient, you think you will just lose your marks or something? A grade you will lose, is that what it is? No, you will be buried that evening. So he's telling him, because Arjuna is talking about how to kill all these people and me become a king, he says, you idiot, you've not become a king yet. You need to shoot this guy in front of you now, properly. Otherwise, you're not the king, you will be buried today evening. That's all he's trying to tell him. Is it wrong? So, every year in the month of November, we have a business event. So, 200 CEOs were there last year also, this November it's coming again. And they just look at how seamlessly Isha Foundation functions, variety of activity, all volunteers. Volunteers means what? Nobody's trained for the job. They are super dedicated, but they're not trained for the job. And you can't fire them because they're volunteers. If you hired them, you can fire them. They're volunteers, how to fire them, you can't. So they looked at this and said, Sadhguru, we pick up the best from IITs and IIMs and all this stuff, but you're just doing with volunteers and your organization functions better than our companies, how is it? I said, see, all of you are dedicated to the goal. Here, I have continuously instilled in people that you're absolutely devoted to the process. Now what you're doing? You do this well. Most of them don't even know where I'm taking them, all right? They're working for a certain project, they don't know what is the goal. I have something else, if I tell them right now, they'll freak. Because my goals are so far, they will give up. So, right now, we have instilled this in them, you just absolutely involved in the process. Know the joy of involvement, first of all. Without absolute devotion to what you're doing right now, you will not do anything significant in your life. Whether it's art, music, spirituality, politics, business, take anything. Without being devoted to the process that you're doing right now, you think you will do anything significant?
I just want to say this. The way he's saying here about being devoted to the process, to me, this is like the constipation I was talking about earlier. You have a goal in mind, and to achieve that goal, there are many different processes to get to the goal. And you can only finish what you can finish. Sometimes there are certain things that has to be done prior to the next process being able to be finished. Without the process number one, process number two cannot start. But a giant goal is broken down because it's so difficult to do all at once. There's just no way to do it. There's a process to it. Again, saying like process one has to finish before process two can begin. He was talking about the constipation part, but to me this is very similar to what he's saying right here, where you focus on the process right now, don't worry about the goal, which is absolutely true. And the goal is broken down into smaller processes. If you don't finish the process now, don't worry about the goal. The goal is never going to get done. You can look at the goal all you want, but if you don't finish this process, nothing's going to happen.
That's all he's saying. It is all the scholars' interpretations and interpretations they are doing, messing up Krishna.
Taking forward the theme, Sadhguru today, about the process inside and work outside, when we look around the country today, we see so many problems affecting our fellow Indians: poverty, discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, and inequality. And of course, when I look inside myself also, there are problems. I'm very far from having a good process. I'm definitely not a yogi. And so what is the relationship between this work which I need to do inside and the work which I need to do outside? Can I do both? Do I need to do one before the other? How can I go about it? Because I don't feel like accepting that I can do either one or the other.
See, if you want to lift this tumbler, this amount of water, at least you need that much of strength, isn't it? You may not be a heavyweight lifter, but at least this much muscle you must have. Can I have water, please? Thank you. If you don't have this muscle, even taking up this cup won't happen, isn't it? So tell me, preparing to do something, the preparation should be before or after? A whole lot of people think their spiritual process, they will start after they're 70 years of age, when they're no good for anything. If you understand spiritual process as a disability, then that's the way to go. I see spiritual process as the greatest empowerment in my life's experience. I think it should happen at the earliest possible time. Unless you're planning to live elsewhere, those people who are in the upper strata, I'm telling you if you're thinking you'll go there and live well, that's up to you. To put it in perspective, one of my projects, of the many projects, one of the projects is, before I fall dead, I want to make sure all the heavens are destroyed. Is that okay? No? You want to go there? Because I want to destroy the good food in the Hindu heaven. I want to make sure that people eat good food here. I want to destroy all those angels who are floating up in the clouds and heavens. I want people, angelic people, to be here. And of course, I want to destroy all those virgins up there. Because the very idea that there is a better place to live than this is a crime. You want to make a hell out of this and go somewhere? So, this is the fundamental issue. The issue is just this: if you want to do something, what can you do? You can only do what you are. Can you do something more? Can you? You can stretch yourself, but still only what you are, isn't it? So is it not important that first you enhance what you are? If you enhance this, activity will naturally happen. Right now, this is one complaint I'm seeing, and I'm seeing even in the universities, people are going like this. We didn't walk like this when I barely went, but the little I went, we were… I'm seeing people are walking like this. It looks like they're practicing their last posture. See, the problems of life have not yet hit you, okay? When you're in the university, they have not yet hit you. It's a very protected atmosphere. All you have to do is read some dumb textbook and write something. I'm not trying to belittle the study, but I'm saying the real problems of life have not yet hit you, right? The true challenges have not come yet. Here only if you're overwhelmed by this, how the hell will you live in the world, I'm asking? How will you take up any big issue? I'm saying, if you are an issue by yourself, obviously you will not take up any big issue and try to bring solutions, isn't it? First and foremost thing you must do is, in your life, you are not the issue, never. I am not the problem in my life. There are problems and problems. How many we can solve, we will see. All of them will never be solved. But how many can we clear in our life is a big question. But if you yourself are a problem, you yourself being problem means, see, I'm just meeting people every day, 50, 60 years of age, still they've not figured how to handle their thought and emotion. When are you going to get it? I'm asking. See, these are very fantastic faculties that only human being has, right? No other creature can think like us, no other creature can emote like us. They're very limited stuff. Here it is so evolved, now you're suffering that immensely. If you don't learn how to handle your thought and emotion, you're already 30, 40, 50 years of age, when are you going to learn? Now, what is your lifespan? A million years, is it? I didn't know. What is the lifespan in Harvard University? Is it not very important that by the time you're 12, 15 years of age, you know how to handle your thought and emotion? Otherwise, you're a bloody issue all the time. You don't need any outside issue. You just leave people alone by themselves. They are a big issue by themselves.
I will say, I think I was able to handle most of my emotions and whatnot. I guess the only thing is that I don't necessarily show it externally, but of course I still suffer internally. I still suffer emotions internally. But I'll say after college, especially after that world religions class about uh, the world is suffering, that changed a lot of things in my life.
When you're alone, if you're miserable, you're obviously in bad company, isn't it? Hello? So if you don't settle this, if you step out, well, you will go about blundering and messing around all the time. It looks like you're working for a solution, but when you are a problem, you'll only spread problems. It may look like a temporary solution. This is the reason why after 1,000 years, we're still talking about the same problems. Obviously, we've not solved it, isn't it? After 1,000 years, if human beings have the same problem, that's very stupid, isn't it so? Only the phones are getting smarter, you know. Phones are getting smarter by the day. See, if you have to call somebody, he's very smart. When do you do that? When you find him smarter than you. Yes or no? Only then you say, oh, he's very smart. So when you call a phone very smart, it's a statement. So can I do these things both together? Because enhancing yourself is a limitless process. It's not a graduation that's going to be over at one time. But the fundamental is just this, human beings are going through variety of suffering. Well, those who are in situations of famine, war, those things, let's keep it aside. Fortunately, still it's a small population, all right? If you don't take care of it, it could become very large. That is one thing, we will keep them aside. Krishna is talking about even they're not being bothered on the battlefield. That's a different matter, I won't take you that far. We will give a margin for them. But those of you who had breakfast in the morning, what is your problem? Hello? In India, in southern India, where you come from, in the villages if you go, people will come and inquire, "Ota madra? Ota aita?" Yes? Saptingla? What this means is, the only question they will ask you is, have you eaten? Because after you've eaten, what is the problem? No, for most human beings, if they have not eaten, there's only one problem, food. The moment they eat, they have 100 problems. So it is not that there are problems, it is just that you have a cerebral capacity that you don't know how to use. Yes? If you're alone and you're feeling miserable, what does it mean? Your intelligence has turned against you. Once your intelligence has turned against you, you pray and call whatever forces you want, no damn thing is going to work for you, 100%. If your intelligence turns against you, you are a finished case, isn't it? Huh? All kinds of sufferings on a daily basis. What do you think they're suffering? When is the last time somebody poked you with a dagger? Never happened to you, isn't it? So what is the suffering? You poking yourself all the time, endlessly. Oh, of course you have good reasons for that. There's no reason, it's just dumb stupid, okay? Yes, it's just darn stupid that you're constantly poking yourself and you think it's being intellectual? Not at all, you just don't know how to use the sharpness of your intellect, that's all it is. Instead of using it towards a solution, you are making a big problem out of it. You think you're suffering life. No, you're only suffering the two most significant faculties of being human, which is a vivid sense of memory and a fantastic sense of imagination. This is what you're suffering. You suffer what happened 10 years ago. You suffer what may happen day after tomorrow already. What does this mean? This simply means you're suffering your memory and imagination. You have no contact with life because your psychological structure has become larger than the cosmic structure. This is your problem. This must be settled. Especially if you're going to get into public life, it's very important you settle this damn thing that you are not the problem. You're never the problem. Outside problems, according to our capabilities, we'll do our best, that's all there is.
Okay, I'm gonna pause right there for this video. So, yeah, I completely agree with Sadhguru. And to answer his question, I was kind of thinking about it a little bit. You can do a little bit of both. Sometimes you can't always solve the issues that you have internally, but that doesn't mean you can't help other people. There's a saying that if you can't help yourself, you can't help other people. That is true, but it's under the same circumstance, though. I believe if you struggle with addiction and you're trying to help someone with addiction, it's not good because you haven't even solved it yourself. Now you could, give them some ideas like I tried this way, that worked for me, but it might work for you. But generally speaking, like for example, if you have an issue with, I don't know, a family member, but someone has an issue with addiction, those are unrelated. You can, like, especially if you solved your addiction problem, but you still have a family problem, those are two different kinds of issues that you can help someone solve. So that's the reason why I'm kind of leaning towards both, that you can work on both. Generally speaking, obviously, you want to help yourself. You want to solve your issues. You want to make sure you're not the problem. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're completely cut off from helping anyone else, especially if you have already went through it and solved it yourself. Addiction being one of them. If you've cut off addiction of whatever the substance happened to be and another person's asked for help, saying for the exact same thing, you can say, hey, yeah, I went through this before and I can help you out. So it's not just only work on yourself, but you have a potentiality of helping other people as well. So that's my reaction to the first part of Sadhguru Harvard University. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.